Hey everybody, what is going on? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well on this Saturday. And I want to talk a little bit about something that Julian Love had to say yesterday on X. Now, the thing you got to know about Julian Love is he doesn't post on X very much. Before this tweet, his previous tweet, and I don't know if we call them tweets anymore, but I'm going to call them tweets, was about 3 months prior. So he only takes to X when he really is feeling it. And apparently he was feeling it yesterday, and he said something that caught my attention. So let's talk about it a little bit here. He's talking about grass. Yes, that's right. He's talking about grass, talking about turf, and talking about playing surfaces for NFL players. This video was sponsored by Prize Picks. So Julian Love tweeted this out yesterday afternoon. Natural grass isn't out of reach. Prioritizing players shouldn't be either. Where hashtag worth the cost. Now, that's not a hashtag I've seen a lot of action on in recent times, so I don't know if that's like a trend or something, but it did get me thinking here. So let's get into this a little bit and understand the parameters of this conversation, because this is a conversation, and I do believe it's one worth having. So Julian Love is talking about the ongoing battle between mostly the teams and the players about the playing surface that each entity wants in football stadiums. To make a long story short, players want to play on grass and teams want to have turf. And this tweet caught my attention here because, to my knowledge, Julian Love hasn't really said much of anything about this before, and it's not something that I've really thought about that much recently. But as is public knowledge, one of the wrinkles this offseason is that natural grass was brought in to Lumen Field and some other stadiums as well for the purposes of the World Cup. Uh, the World Cup, they want their games played on grass. So what happened at Lumen Field was they took a natural grass, basically a portable field, and put it on top of the turf. So basically, that is going to be taken out once the World Cup is over, which I don't know if there's going to be another World Cup game in Seattle. I don't think so. But the point is, it's a temporary setup, and it'll be out of there shortly. And there are some people, like for instance, maybe Julian Love, who would prefer that it be permanent. And this is not a new thing, to be clear, and this is not an isolated thing to Julian Love. Players, generally speaking, in fact, if you go to the NFL Players Association and look at their arguments, according to them, 92% of players prefer grass to turf. So this is not isolated to even a subset of players. A pretty large majority of players want to play on grass. So given that the conversation is spiking up again because of the World Cup, I think that this is an interesting time to start having this conversation. We all know we're going to have new owners in a little bit more than a month. Like 5 weeks from now, we're going to have the new owners in place. This would be a great way for the new owners to kind of make their mark on the team in a way that is positive and player friendly. Get some grass in there. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball. We got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like. Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far, so definitely get on over to it, check it out, and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about Team Picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. To kind of reduce the argument down to the most important factors, according to the NFL Player Association, lower body tears, basically like the non-contact injuries that typically keep players out for very long periods of time, like months and years, happen at a 69% higher rate on turf compared to grass. So when you play on turf, the odds of you having a non-contact foot or ankle injury, 69% higher. So that's a pretty significant difference. So pretty easy to understand why players like grass better. Even if you could argue that turf maybe feels better superficially, and I think some players do, protecting yourself from major injury is going to win out. So that is the main reason why this is a subject that has come up a lot. Now, the reason why teams like turf is it's easier to maintain and less expensive to maintain for fairly obvious reasons. There are definitely parts of the country where it's very difficult to maintain a natural grass field. There are situations where maybe it should be understood that it's just not realistically going to happen. And in extreme weather conditions, the grass field can have problems that the turf doesn't. So it's not, I know that the reality of the situation is more complicated, but the bottom line is this: the players overwhelmingly prefer grass. There is significant evidence that serious injuries happen way more often on turf. And this league prints money more than any other sports league. These teams have no issues with money. So this should not be a thing where teams are going, we're going to go with turf because it's cheaper and we don't care about anything else. This is a situation where they can put themselves forward and basically say, this is my show of, this is the way in which I show that I really care about my players and I care about the product that I'm putting on the field. So we've got new owners coming in about 5 weeks here. The season is going to start right after they come in, so I'm not saying anything right now. But Vinod Koshla, the Koshla family, I don't know if you'll ever see this video, but I think this would be a great way for you guys to put your mark on this team in a positive way. I think it would be a great way to show that you care about winning a lot, even if it means spending more money and taking on more difficulty and taking on something that could be a little bit of a headache in the name of producing wins. So this is something I would start thinking about next off season. Whenever the Seahawks season is over, think about maybe making the grass permanent. I mean, not only is it going to show that you care about winning, but think about what it would do for tempting players to sign with the Seahawks over other teams. Like, we've got that millionaires tax that's probably going to start up at some point in Washington that reportedly may be deterring players from wanting to sign in Seattle because they get to keep less money. You got to do something to maybe compensate for that. Maybe this is something that can swing things back in your favor. So think about that. So you've got that angle as well. And maybe this is for some people the big one. You might be able to also tell the fan base, and I want you guys to consider this for a second as well. This fan base is programmed to not trust new ownership because of things we have been through, and also because the last owner did such a good job. Jody Allen ended up doing a great job and produced a Super Bowl championship 6 months ago. Not even 6 months ago. So there is a natural inclination on the part of this fan base to not trust Koshla for no other reason than that he's not Jody Allen. So this would be a great opportunity for the new owners to come in and say, we're going to prove that we are in it to win it, that we care about this the same way Paul Allen did, the same way Jody Allen did. We're going to do things a little bit differently. Like the way Paul and Jody showed that they cared is not the way that Koshla should show that he cares, but this is something that he can do. This is something he can do to prove that he has money and he's willing to spend it. And also, it's a vote of confidence in favor of Lumen Field. If you redo the stadium to support a grass field, that's a pretty good indication that you're not thinking about moving to a new stadium anytime soon. You wouldn't do that if you were thinking we're only going to play here for another few more years and then we're going to get out of the lease. You do that if you believe that the stadium is going to be your long-term home. And some people would really like that. People like the stadium. People respect the stadium. People don't want a big drama-filled show about the team potentially needing a new stadium. And then when the city won't fund it, then the team gets involved in some drama where maybe they move to Issaquah or something like that. And or kind of like what's going on with the Chicago Bears right now. And if they swap out the fields, we don't have to really think about that too hard because then it's like, well, they just made a big investment in the stadium. And I know there have been some recent big investments in the stadium already, but this would be one under the new ownership, and that would feel a little bit different. So, something to think about here. I know that it would be a bit of a pain. I know that it's not perfect, but when you think about it through these um through these lenses, the players would love it, the fans would appreciate it. This is a way the new ownership can show they're in it to win it. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming soon.